Good evening, welcome to the first video from SQL Repository. I'm Dave and I'm going to show you how to take a CSV file and import that into an SQL Server database, or more specifically a table within a database. So let's get started. So if we open up Data Tools and we'll create ourselves a new project. So if we go File, New, Project, let's call it something interesting, or maybe not that interesting. We'll call it Card List Demo. Okay, so what we can see here is SSIS has actually opened up the new project, and it's also added a new package straight in there for us, and that's what we can see in the middle here. Over to the left we have our toolbox, and what we want to do is grab a data flow task and drop that onto the page. And you can either click the tab up here, or you can double click on the data flow task if you've got more than one. But if you're following along, of course, you'll only have one. And then what we can do is, again in the toolbox, we can grab a flat file source, drop that onto the page, and then right click on it, edit, and then click new. Okay, again, call it something interesting like card list. And then we're going to browse for our file. Mine's on the desktop, and like I say, it's a CSV file, so you just have to change this little drop down over here, click on it, and then open. Now, just to mention, it's probably best that you open your CSV file beforehand and get to know the data a little better. I'm going to go through a few steps that will allow me to import mine into a staging table. I know that mine has vertical bars as its delimiter within the top, within the top row, and it also has a space and another bar. What you could actually do is, if you know yours is comma delimited, then you could select one of these from down here, but I've already set mine up. And now what I'm going to do is go to the columns. Now this page will actually show you what your data is already looking like. As you can see, column 1, 2, 3 to infinity are all incorrectly titled, and that's because we just need to set up this here. So mine's a carriage return, and I also know it's a vertical bar followed by another vertical bar. Okay, if we hit refresh, there we go, our data has been sorted into its correct columns all the way to the end. Now if I click OK again and again, let's call this something interesting. So card list CSV. Now then, let's go over to the toolbar again and grab a destination. So we want this one here, the OLEDB destination. We'll drop that onto the page. What that means, it's just an SQL server, and we're going to provide a table to put our data into. So I'm just going to rename this now whilst I'm here. So we'll call this card list STG, STG being short for staging. Oh, I'll tell you what I forgot to do. If we right click on our flat file source again and click show advanced editor, if you click this tab here, which is input and output properties, and then we'll expand the flat file source output and the output columns. So what I'm going to do is, in here there are 3 columns that I need to change the length of. The first one's flavor, and we'll change that to 8,000. The ruling, and finally the ability. Now again, this is about knowing your data source. So I know that these 3 columns are actually quite big, and we don't want this SSIS package telling us that there's an error, because it's going to try and truncate the data. So have a look through your CSV first, make sure you know the length that you want for your data type, and then set it up in here. Now then, because that's been set up correctly, when we take this left arrow and drop it onto our destination, it will actually align those columns in here already for us, which is great, saves us a job. So we'll click on it and edit. Now we have to have a connection manager in here for our destination table. So we'll click new. And then actually I've already set one up earlier for a test run that I did of this project. But what I will do is I'll click new, and if I select my server name up here, okay, and then I can select SQL repository, which is my database. I can hit test connection. There we go, it succeeded. Click OK again and again. Now yours will have populated into here, but like I say, mine was already there, so I don't need to select anything. I'll click OK again, and then what we see here is if we already had a table or a view that we would be populating, it would be within this list. However, we haven't, so what we're going to do is click new again, and it gives us the option to create our table. Now it comes up with a really boring name, so let's change that. I'm going to call mine stg.t_card_list. Now you might want to use something like dbo.t_card_list. I'm using stg because I already have a schema created specifically for the staging tables. And what you'll also be able to note down here is our ruling, our ability, and our flavor columns are all set to varchar 8000, which is what we did before. So if we click OK, that's not a problem. That's Visual Studio getting a bit overexcited. If we click OK, and what it was saying is we've not selected our table or our view. Well, we'd only just created it, so of course it wasn't in the list. So we'll select that now. So if we go over to mappings here in this left-hand side, what we can see is on this left-hand side we've got our input columns, and that's coming from our CSV file. On the right hand side we've got our destination file, our destination table. Now sometimes it might be a case that these have incorrectly mapped across to the wrong fields, so what you might want to do is push the control key and click on all those that are wrong, and you can actually right click on that thick line and click delete selected mappings. Simply put, you click on the name and then you just drag it to where you want it to go, and that will put them back in place for you. So if we click OK, there we go. I don't know if anyone noticed, but there was a little red circle here with an X on it. That meant it was incorrectly set up, and again that would have been on this CSV flat file source here, but once we'd set it up it disappeared. Now then, that means we're ready to give this a go. So if we push the F5 button, or you can push this little green arrow up here, and it will start the process off. So we'll just give that a moment to run. I'm expecting 6,021 rows to be imported into the table, so we'll see if that's what we get. There we go. We can see this increasing here. This shows the number of rows that's going through into our database at the moment. Okay, so the CSV file's been read, the rows are going through, 6,021. Now then, let's head over to Management Studio. I've already got a little query here, so if I push the F5 button, spot on, there you go, 6,021 rows imported into our database, or more specifically our table. So as I say, next time what we're going to look at is cleaning up this data, getting rid of some of these speech marks that are in here, and maybe cleaning up a few of the other things, like, here we go, we've got monetary values in here when it's a date. Not got a clue why. Anyway, in the meantime, if you want to head over to sqlrepository.co.uk, and you'll be able to see some of the articles on there. There are some code snippets, there's some interview questions for DBAs, and there's some exam questions as well. So enjoy yourself, and thank you for watching.